Hello, everyone. Welcome back, the show that helps you improve your English in a natural and enjoyable way.
Hi, everyone listening.
Hey, Mike, how's your day going?
It's been really productive, actually. I spent the morning reviewing some interesting language learning research, which is perfect timing because of today's topic.
Oh, that's great. Yes, today we're diving into something that I think many of our listeners struggle with.
Let me guess. Thinking in English?
Exactly. Today's episode is all about how to train your brain to speak in English naturally without constantly translating in your head.
This is such an important topic. I remember when I was learning my second language, I used to translate everything word by word in my mind. It was exhausting.
Right? It's mentally draining and it really slows down your conversation. But here's the good news for everyone listening.
It doesn't have to be that way.
Exactly. There are practical strategies you can use to retrain your brain.
Before we jump in, though, we should mention something to our listeners.
Yes, if you're enjoying this podcast and finding it helpful, please take a moment to like this episode and subscribe to our channel.
Subscribing really helps us reach more English learners like you, and it means we can create more content to support your learning journey.
Also, if you know someone who's learning English, share this episode with them. Learning is always better when you can discuss it with friends.
Absolutely. Okay, Sarah, I'm ready. Let's talk about training our brains.
Perfect. So, Mike, let me ask you this. When you were translating everything in your head, what was the biggest problem you noticed?
The biggest problem. I'd say it was the delay. Someone would ask me a question and there would be this awkward pause while I was processing.
Right, because your brain was doing double work.
Exactly. First, I had to understand the English, then translate it to my native language, then think of my response in my native language, and then translate it back to English.
That's 4 steps when it should just be 2. Understand and respond.
It's no wonder conversations felt so challenging.
And you know what's interesting? Many intermediate learners, even at B1 level, still do this sometimes without realizing it.
Really? Even when they already know a lot of English?
Yes, because it's a habit. Their brain has been trained to use that translation pathway, so it automatically goes there, especially when they're nervous or tired.
So we need to create a new pathway in the brain.
Exactly. We need to build what neuroscientists call neural pathways directly in English.
Neural pathways. That sounds very scientific.
It does, but the concept is actually simple. Think of it like this. Imagine your brain is a forest, and you need to get from point A to point B.
Okay, I'm imagining it.
At first, there's no clear path, so you have to push through the bushes and branches. It's slow and difficult.
That's like when you're first learning English and everything feels hard.
Right, but if you walk the same route every day, eventually you create a clear path through the forest.
The grass gets worn down, the path becomes obvious, and soon you can walk it easily without thinking.
Exactly. That's what happens in your brain with language. The more you think directly in English, the stronger that pathway becomes.
Until eventually it becomes automatic.
Precisely. So today, we're going to give you practical strategies to build those English pathways in your brain.
I'm excited about this. Where should we start?
Let's start with what I call mental substitution.
Mental substitution? Tell me more.
Well, most people at B1 level already know a lot of English words and structures. The problem isn't knowledge, it's activation.
Activation.
Yes, the words are stored in your brain, but they're not active. They're like books on a shelf that you never take down and read.
So we need to take those books off the shelf more often.
Exactly. And here's how you do it. Throughout your day, whenever you think something in your native language, pause for a moment and ask yourself, how would I say this in English?
So basically catching my thoughts and translating them.
Not exactly translating, more like expressing them. Let me give you an example. This morning, I was making coffee and I thought to myself in my native language, I need more sugar.
A simple thought.
Very simple. But then I stopped and said in my mind, I need more sugar. But then I pushed myself further. How else could I express this?
Oh, I see what you mean. You could say, this coffee isn't sweet enough.
Or I'd like to add some more sugar, or this needs to be sweeter.
So you're not just translating one sentence, you're exploring different ways to express the same idea.
Exactly, and this is crucial because it gets your brain thinking flexibly in English.
Rather than thinking there's only one correct translation.
Right, language isn't about finding the perfect word for word translation, it's about expressing meaning.
This is really helpful. So, throughout the day, I should be catching my thoughts and rephrasing them in English.
Yes, but here's the important part. Don't just do it once. Try to come up with 2 or 3 different ways to say the same thing.
That makes the neural pathways even stronger.
Exactly. And it also prepares you for real conversations, because in real life, you often need to rephrase something if the other person doesn't understand.
That's a great point. I've definitely been in situations where I said something and the person looked confused and I had no idea how to say it differently.
Because you only had one pathway to that idea. But if you practice creating multiple pathways,
Then I have options. I can rephrase easily.
exactly. Let me give everyone listening a practical exercise for this week.
Yes, homework time.
Okay, choose 3 daily activities, maybe making breakfast, commuting to work, and getting ready for bed.
Okay, 3 routine activities.
During each of these activities, narrate what you're doing in your head in English, but challenge yourself to say each action in at least 2 different ways.
Can you give us an example?
Sure, let's say you're brushing your teeth. You could think, I'm brushing my teeth, and then also, I'm cleaning my teeth, or I'm using my toothbrush.
So even simple actions get this double or triple expression.
Yes, and after a week of this, you'll notice that English starts to flow more naturally because your brain has more routes to access the language.
I love this. Okay, so that's our first major strategy, mental substitution with multiple expressions.
Right. Now let's talk about something that I think is often overlooked, the power of inner monologue.
Inner monologue. You mean like talking to yourself?
Exactly. And I know some people feel weird about this, but it's actually one of the most powerful tools for language learning.
I have to admit, I do this sometimes. When I'm walking alone, sometimes I have entire conversations in my head.
And do you do it in English or your native language?
Usually my native language, but I guess I should be doing it in English.
Well, here's the thing. You don't have to do it all in English right away. That can be overwhelming.
So, what do you suggest?
Start by having a bilingual inner monologue. Think of a sentence in your native language, then repeat it in English.
So, I'm still translating?
At first, yes, but here's the key. You're doing it in a low-pressure environment. There's no one waiting for your answer, no one judging your grammar.
So, it's a safe space to practice.
Exactly. And over time, you'll notice something interesting happening.
What's that?
The English will start coming first sometimes. You'll think of something directly in English without needing to translate it first.
Really? That just happens naturally?
It does, but only if you practice. The brain is very efficient. It learns to take shortcuts.
So, if I keep using this English pathway, my brain will eventually realize, hey, this is faster than translating.
Precisely. Your brain will start to prefer the direct English route because it's more efficient.
That's fascinating. So, the inner monologue is like a training ground.
Yes. And here's another tip. Make it interesting. Don't just narrate boring things.
What do you mean?
Well, a lot of people will practice by thinking, I'm sitting, I'm standing, I'm walking.
Which is useful, but also pretty boring.
Right. Instead, have actual thoughts, opinions, feelings, reactions.
Can you give me an example?
Sure. Let's say you see someone wearing a really interesting jacket. Instead of just thinking, that's a nice jacket, engage with it more.
How?
Think something like, wow, that jacket is really stylish. I wonder where they bought it. I'd love to have something like that, but in a darker color. Maybe I should look for something similar online.
Oh, I see. You're having a real internal conversation, not just labeling things.
Exactly. You're using complex sentences, hypothetical situations, expressing preferences. This is much more valuable for your brain.
Because this is how we actually use language in real life.
Exactly. We don't just label things. We have opinions, make plans, wonder about things.
So the inner monologue should reflect real thinking, not just vocabulary practice.
Yes. And here's something else that's really powerful. Use your emotions.
My emotions.
Yes, when you feel frustrated, try to express that frustration in English in your head. This is so annoying, or I can't believe this is happening.
Oh, emotional language.
Right. When you feel happy about something, think this is wonderful, or I'm so glad this worked out.
I see what you're doing. You're connecting emotions with English expressions.
Exactly. And this creates very strong neural connections because emotions are processed in a deep part of the brain.
So when language is connected to emotion, it sticks better.
Much better. This is why people often remember swear words very easily in a foreign language.
That's true. Even beginners seem to pick those up quickly.
Because they're often said with strong emotion, but you can use this principle with positive emotions too.
So express my joy, my frustration, my surprise, all in English in my inner monologue.
Yes, and over time, English becomes the language of your emotions, not just your intellect.
That's really powerful. Okay, so we've talked about mental substitution and inner monologue. What's next?
Next, let's talk about something that many B1 learners overlook, the importance of input quality.
Input quality. You mean like listening and reading?
Yes, but not just any listening and reading. You need the right kind of input at the right level.
I think this is where a lot of people make mistakes, right?
Absolutely. Many intermediate learners make one of two errors.
What's the first error?
They consume content that's too easy. They stick with beginner-level materials because they're comfortable.
But they're not being challenged.
Right. Their brain isn't growing because it's not being pushed.
And what's the second error?
The opposite. They jump to very advanced content, like watching news programs or reading academic articles.
And they get overwhelmed and discouraged.
Exactly. So the key is finding what's called comprehensible input.
Comprehensible input. I've heard this term before. What does it mean exactly?
It means content that's slightly above your current level. You understand most of it, maybe 70 to 80%, but there are some new words and structures that challenge you.
So you're comfortable, but also learning.
Exactly. This is the sweet spot for brain training.
How do people find content at the right level?
Great question. For B1 learners, I recommend a few strategies.
I'm ready to take notes.
First, look for content that's designed for language learners at your level. There are podcasts, YouTube channels, and graded readers specifically made for intermediate learners.
Like our podcast.
Exactly like our podcast. We design our content to be accessible but also challenging for B1 learners.
What's the second strategy?
The second strategy is to use authentic content, but with support.
What do you mean by support?
For example, watching a TV show or movie with English subtitles. The audio is authentic, native-level English, but you have the subtitles to help you follow along.
Oh, that's clever. You're training your ear while having a safety net.
Exactly. And here's a pro tip. If you're watching with subtitles, try to read ahead slightly.
Read ahead?
Yes, glance at the next line of dialogue before it's spoken. This way, your brain knows what to listen for.
Oh, so you're priming your brain for the sounds you're about to hear.
Exactly. This is really effective for improving listening comprehension.
What about reading? How should people approach reading at B1 level?
For reading, I recommend what I call the 70% rule.
The 70% rule?
If you're reading something and you don't understand more than 30% of the words, it's too difficult. Put it aside and find something easier.
So you should understand at least 70% naturally.
Right. At that level, you can guess the meaning of new words from context, which is how native speakers naturally expand their vocabulary.
That makes sense. If you're stopping every sentence to look up words, you're not really reading.
Exactly. You're just doing a translation exercise, which doesn't help your fluency.
So what kind of reading do you recommend?
For B1 level, I really like graded readers. These are novels or stories that have been adapted to use vocabulary and grammar at your level.
Don't those feel a bit simplified, though?
Some do, but there are really good ones that tell engaging stories. The important thing is that you can read them smoothly without constantly stopping.
Because fluency is what we're after.
Exactly. You want your brain to experience the flow of English, not the stop and start of looking up every other word.
What about more authentic reading, like news articles or blogs?
Those can be great too, especially if you choose topics you're interested in.
Why does interest matter?
Because when you're interested in the content, your brain is more motivated to understand it. You push through difficulties more easily.
So I should read about my hobbies and interests in English?
Absolutely. If you love cooking, read cooking blogs. If you're into technology, read tech articles. If you follow sports, read sports news.
Your brain will work harder to understand because it wants to know the information.
Exactly. Motivation is key. Okay, let's talk about one more crucial aspect of input:
What's that?
repetition and review.
Oh, reading or listening to the same thing multiple times?
Yes, but not in the way most people think.
What do you mean?
Many people think repetition means reading the same article 5 times in a row until they understand every word.
And that's not effective?
It can be, but it's boring. Instead, I recommend what I call spaced re-exposure.
Spaced re-exposure?
Yes, listen to a podcast episode today.